There's been a lot of bad press with Black Myth Wukong for some time now, and a lot of it stemming from this hit piece from IGN. And the reason I'm calling it a hit piece and not just a bad article or an article that paints him in unfavorable light, because they didn't really do the research, and I'm talking to authors of this article, didn't actually put forth the effort to try to clarify anything. They just heard something that made the game studio developing Black Myth Wukong look bad, so they decided to run with it because it was pushing an agenda that they were actually in favor of. A lot of this has been clarified in recent months. This tweet from Grums came out last week, basically just reiterating the same thing. The review dedicated an entire section to Wukong's supposed lack of inclusion and representation, repeating infamous IGN hit piece on the developer Game Science. And that article from IGN was basically saying how the developers at the studio were racist and sexist and other things like that. The problem is that the IGN article was full of mistranslations, including misunderstanding of cultural idioms. The translator was not native and, interestingly enough, never paid and was stiffed by IGN, including the insertion of phrases that never existed, examples below. And he has examples from some of the situations where they were just trying to deliberately misrepresent game science in order to paint them in unfavorable light. Well, now that the game is actually out and so far doing pretty well amongst audiences, a lot of people are upset about that in the game journalism sphere because they don't like to be proven wrong, and they have their own agendas that they're trying to push, and having a game like this succeed kind of flies in the face of that. So take a note of the author of this hit piece from them, Ki-Hoon Chan, because now it's come to find out there's a lot of old tweets of his resurfacing where he's basically just admitting to be overtly racist. We have this article right here from That Park Place talking about it. Headline: IGN writer who smeared game science in Black Myth Wukong calls for boycott of game, previously admitted to hating white people. One of the IGN writers who smeared game science as sexist called for gamers to boycott Black Myth Wukong ahead of the game's release. Interestingly, this same writer has previously admitted to hating white people. Scrolling further down in the article, it has the name of the author, like I previously pointed out. Chan posted to X, "I'm so effing pissed off. This has gone too far. Don't play Black Myth Wukong. If you must, go and pirate it. If you enjoy it, I don't want to know it. F game science and all the grifters who are doing this to one of my favorite people in the industry." Putting aside the fact that he's actually advocating for people to literally commit crimes by pirating the game, something that I think an objective game journalist wouldn't be doing, whether or not you actually think pirating games is a big deal or not. But then the old tweets started resurfacing that he said, and it's not really a good look for him. White gamers have zero nuance, zero understanding of the world, and it'll forever be like this because the world bends over to meet their expectations. And if they're upset, they just scream at their targets until everything works miraculously in their favor. And it's kind of funny because this is kind of what a lot of the woke crowd in the games industry are actually doing. And that's pretty much what a lot of this ultimately stems from, is you have a game studio that, like Game Science here, that produced this game. They're not trying to push any agenda, or they're not pushing their agenda. They're just trying to make something that gamers actually enjoy. And this is something that they're upset about. Like we heard about this last week when they were given review copies of it. They were given a list of things not to talk about. One of those was female or feminist propaganda or anything like that. Just talk about the game. Don't make it political. And this is something that they're really mad about, because to a lot of these people, there is no games journalism, or there is no games with actually separating it from political propaganda. To them, only thing games are is basically just a platform to push their own agenda, and they don't like it that there's companies out there that are willing or not willing to actually do that. They just want people to make it very much about the games, make fun games that people enjoy. This seems to be a game that a lot of people are enjoying, and a lot of these people working for outlets like IGN like this really just don't like it. But when you're looking at that tweet right there, you might think that this doesn't sound too bad or sound too racist, but check out this other one too that came to light. Do I hate white people? Yes. So I think that's pretty clear right there. There's a lot of people out there incorrectly who say that you can't be racist against white people. Well, if you really think about it, though, white people are also the minority of the world. So yes, you can be racist against white people, even if they were the majority, because, you know, anyone can be racist against anyone. So here's the full tweet. Do I hate white people? Yes. And if you're a friend, you'll understand why this is never personal. I hate. Okay, fine. Imagine someone saying, yes, I hate black people, but it's not personal. You'll understand why this is never personal. I hate white privilege so much. Their ability to scream reverse racism. no, it's just racism. Saying reverse racism is kind of dumb. It is just racism. When faced with a tiny bit of criticism, the world revolves around them, even in Singapore, every day. So yes, he is an overtly racist person who's employed by IGN to write hard hit pieces and smear articles about companies that aren't trying to push their agenda. And this really is the problem with game journalism. And one of the reasons why I think a lot of these outlets are upset when it comes to Black Myth Wukong is because they're losing their power and they're losing their grip, because in the past, they could say something is bad or for whatever reasons, and they were the only voice in the room, so people would have to listen to them. But that's not the case anymore. They've pretty much lost their power within the way of influencing the public. And now you can have people like this just having nonstop hit pieces about a game, and people just don't care. They're like, well, that's what you say, but I don't necessarily believe you. And I think that's what really stings the most for them, is that people aren't listening to them. They don't have any political power or any control. And they just kind of have to accept the fact that they're dinosaurs and they're watching the meteor crash land, and they're just going to become extinct. No, I'm not saying a lot of the independent people online are going to not face the same thing, because that's really just the way things go. There's one source of influence, and then another one takes over, and then another one takes over. Right now, their time has come. It's going to be over for them, and eventually someone else is going to come and take over from the independent voices that you see online right now. I don't know what that's going to be or where it's going to happen, but it's eventually going to happen. But right now, I think it is kind of funny just to point and laugh at these people and how hateful they are, and the fact that they don't have any control whatsoever. If a game is good and people like it, then it's going to succeed. And I think what they're terrified of is that more studios are going to take note of this, because you get games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that is overtly trying to push political messaging, and that ultimately fails when you have other games like Black Myth Wukong, which are trying to avoid that sort of thing and just make something fun, and that succeeds. So I think they're kind of worried about games no longer being used to push political agendas. Instead, it's just going to be going back the way it should be, where it's just going to be fun games. So then they're going to lose pretty much a major platform in order to actually push their agendas in the future. And to me, I think that's ultimately a good thing. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share the video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.